Now we're joined in studio for the first of our series of interviews with the party leaders by Sinn Féin President Gerry Adams. Thanks for joining us on the programme, Deputy Adams. Can we start with the Jean McConville murder arrest? Because your party at the time referred to dark forces within the PSNI. We heard of political interference and the motivation was to damage your party electorally. Do you regret those comments?
No, I mean, I don't have any complaint about being arrested. I went voluntarily because I want to confront this issue. What happened to Jean McConville and her family was wrong. I tried to face up to all of that. The timing is what I have concerns about. But look, you know, it's happened. I think, Sharon, that...
But to get back to that point about the dark forces, Deputy Adams, because those are serious charges, and they're charges that were raised by Deputy First Minister Martin McGuinness when he warned that the party would reflect and review Sinn Féin's support for the PSNI if charges were made. Now, is this not political interference on the part of your party? These are very, very serious charges.
Well, I don't think he quite put it like that, but let me say this.
Those are his words, reflect and review.
Martin McGuinness, the rest of our leadership, and I made this very, very clear when I was released. Totally and absolutely support the PSNI. But we want to see it developed into civic accountable policing in the same way as we want to see in Garda Síochána developed in that way. Look, these things happen. Okay. It isn't what happens in your life, I suppose, that's important. It's how you respond to it. I tried to respond to it positively.
And we'll get to that.
And sorry, so the positive thing out of all of this, and it's a sad reminder of our history and of the war which is now ended, but the positive thing is that the governments which denied there were trouble and difficulties in the peace process are now acknowledging that there are difficulties in the peace process, and I'm off to the States next week to brief people on that. Sinn Féin's up for doing the business.
Perhaps that's a debate for another day. Can I ask you just yes or no, were the remarks ill-judged, Deputy Adams?
No, I think not. And particularly, let me say this, at a time in the North when there have been a number of hits against the peace process, it's really, really important that we give steady, calm, strategic leadership. And there are elements within the British system, let's have no doubt about this, within the fringes of nationalism, within loyalism and unionism, who don't want this peace process to work. The people want the peace process to work, and so does Sinn Féin.
Let's get on to the polls, because you are doing well. There is no evidence that this has damaged you at all. To what extent is this gain, this support for your party, real, sustainable, and to what extent is it just an anybody but the government gesture?
Well, I do think that people have been watching what we do in the Assembly, what we're doing in the Oireachtas. I do think what they're watching what Martina Anderson was doing in the European Parliament, and before her Barbara de Bruyne and Mary Lou McDonald. But look, we don't have the capacity to bring our vote out across all of these constituencies. So I want to appeal to people now.
Sure,
you know,
but
sorry, Sharon,
let people know what you are selling to them, because we heard the Deputy Leader today talking about the abolition of water charges, the abolition of the household rate, the abolition of the universal social charge. You're going to balance the books and you're going to pump money into public services. What they don't know is how you are going to do that.
Well, let me deal with that, Sharon. First of all, we're standing in all 32 counties. We're standing in all 4 European parliamentary constituencies.
You're not answering my question.
I am going to answer my question if you just let me elaborate, right? We're asking people to vote for Leah Ní Riada, to vote for Lynn Boylan, to vote for Matt Carthy. Now, what people are affronted by, and I'm getting this every single day I walk along a street or knock a door, is how the government tore up all of its commitments. We have tax after tax, water charges, cuts across a whole range.
And we know that you are talking about abolishing all those, but what you're not explaining is how you're going to
we have put forward an alternative budget, every single budget, because what's wrong is the unfairness of what's happening. Now, people are indicating they're going to vote for Sinn Féin.
Do the figures add up in that alternative budget?
Yes, and they were costed by the Department of Finance, and no one took an issue. No one took an issue about the figures that we were putting forward to give a fairer way of getting the economy back on track. Now, sorry, Sharon, this is a really important point I want to make. What's happening now is unfair. Now, if people don't vote, then they might as well endorse all of these
And you've made that point, but I want to tackle you on one of your economic points, Deputy Adams, and it is the third rate of income tax, the 48% rate. We're looking at a marginal rate of something in the order of 59% higher in the 60s if you're self-employed. The Irish Taxation Institute and Lots of economists have said this is a disaster. It will drive entrepreneurs, senior professionals and businessmen out of the country at a time when other countries are looking to decrease income tax rates.
Well, first of all, it will not. I just read in the paper this morning that the top here are 25 billion richer this day as we sit here, while working families, while people on the margins, but you know, our young people are scattered across the globe. We have mass unemployment. Listen to your headlines about homelessness.
What are your incentives? Just explain. What are your incentives to business people to set up jobs here and create wealth here?
I'll give you an example, if you let me, Sharon, just for a moment. We have argued that the government should take down from the European Investment Bank and a mix of money from the Strategic Investment Fund. Now, these wouldn't be loans. These are monies that are there, particularly for housing, to bring down 1 billion, which would pay for 7,000 social housing units. That would start the construction industry, would put money into communities. Now, here's the problem with the homelessness crisis that's coming in.
But I'm asking you about creating wealth.
Well, I'll give you an example. Why haven't the government, we have put this to them consistently, why haven't they withdrawn? Why haven't they drawn that? It's there and it's available.
Well, they launched their Strategic Investment Fund only last week, and this was an effort to kickstart
in the middle of an
SMEs.
election, with
Can I ask you, because time is...
Sharon, let's get back to the main point. This government is for austerity. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour are part of a cosy consensus.
And they would argue they're not for austerity. They're still borrowing $1 billion a month to balance the books.
If there was no economic crisis, if there was no diktat from the European Union, these parties would be cutting health service, would be privatising, would be doing the type of bad things that they're doing on working people. It's time for a change. People should go for change and should come out in their droves and vote for Sinn Féin at local level, across the island and in the 4 European constituencies.
And you're absolutely saying that your figures add up.
Yes, and they should make change now. There's no use whinging and crying about the government or staying at home or getting angry. Come out and vote for Sinn Féin and make change now.
Thank you for joining us on the programme.